Hello, damn. Hello, Binky. This is Amanda. If you are in bed, don't get up. If you're out, just don't call me back.
Hello, contact.
Yes, hello.
This is contact. Can I help you?
Yes. Well, probably not. I mean, I can't imagine how you could. I wanted someone to talk to, and it seems too late to call anybody else.
What's your address?
Pardon me?
What is your address?
Why do you ask?
This is a crisis hotline. I am not allowed to talk to you without an address.
I don't see how that's relevant.
I am not allowed to talk to you without an address. I am hanging up, okay?
No, 241 West 21st Street.
That was so painful.
I just don't see the purpose of you having my
Have you swallowed anything?
I just wanted somebody to talk to.
What floor are you on?
Thanks.
The window looking more and more inviting.
I really think you have the wrong idea.
You have any firearms?
Firearms?
You know, guns, whatnot.
Certainly not.
Are you lying to me? I will not tolerate being lied to.
I'm not going to do anything drastic.
Oh, people say that. They always say that. People lie.
I assure you, I have no intention.
Tuesday, I think. Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember. I'm on the phone. 45 minutes with this young man. 45 minutes. And he's swearing up and down that he has no intention of doing anything. And after all that time, mitten grinning out he sails right out the window, dead.
Oh my.
People lie.
What was troubling him?
Oh, I can't remember something. Something was wrong with him. Who can keep it straight? But I tell you, I felt very betrayed.
I won't jump out the window.
That's why I'm on graveyard. I had a perfectly lovely shift. 6 to 10. After the talk shows, before the news. Now I'm on graveyard.
I'm sorry.
I felt very betrayed.
I understand.
Right out the window. Splattered. Dead. I heard the whole thing. It was terrible. So what can I do for you, darling?
I just wanted to talk to someone.
You're lonely.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
No, you're calling strangers in the middle of the night, but you're not lonely.
Okay, fine, I'm lonely.
Well, let me tell you, everyone's lonely, my dear. What's your name?
Amanda.
Amanda. Loneliness is my oxygen. I breathe loneliness. I'm Faye. You don't know loneliness till you walked a mile in my shoes. You haven't tasted loneliness. You haven't been in the same state with it. I lost my husband several years ago. I don't want to dwell. Ali Fasholim. So, what's the trouble?
My husband is gone.
Gone? You mean dead gone? What do you mean? Be specific.
No. He's just gone.
Well, is he missing? Did you call the police? Not that that'll do anything.
No, I didn't call the police. He's fine. I mean, he called me to tell me he was fine. He just needed some time.
When was that?
2 weeks ago.
Well, how long you been married?
3 weeks.
And he's been missing.
2 weeks.
I see.
He's a filmmaker. He writes films.
Did he write Howard's End?
No.
Oh, too bad. That was a beautiful picture. I loved that picture. Did you see that picture?
No.
Oh, you should see it. See it on the big screen if you can. It was a lovely.
Well, I didn't see it.
Oh.
He writes small, independent films.
Did you see Enchanted April?
No.
Me neither. I'm dying to.
My point is,
Are you smoking?
why do you ask?
Oh, it's a terrible habit. You mustn't smoke. How old are you, darling?
30.
You have your whole life ahead of you, which if you stop smoking could be a long, wonderful adventure.
I'm not smoking.
I can see you.
I have asthma. I wheeze sometimes.
Are you lying to me?
No, I'm not. I'm not smoking.
Did you see Room with a View?
Yes.
Oh, that was a wonderful picture. Did you love that picture?
It was very good.
I loved that picture. Okay, so let me understand. You've been married 3 weeks and your husband's been missing for 2 of them?
Correct.
Did your husband, what's his name?
Ford.
Oh, that's a beautiful name. I love that name. Did Ford, I love saying it. Did Ford tell you where he was going?
Well, it was Monday morning, and we just got back from Martha's Vineyard. Ford has a friend who owns a house on Martha's Vineyard, and he never
name?
uses it. Who?
The friend with the house.
Why do you ask?
Maybe I know him.
Lillian.
His name is Lillian?
Yes.
Go figure.
Well, it was Monday morning, and we just got back from Martha's Vineyard. It was our honeymoon.
How was the sex?
It was good.
When you say good, you mean what exactly?
I mean, it was good.
We'll come back to that. So, you're in the city with Ford. I love
Yes.
that name.
We're in the city, it's Monday morning, and we just had breakfast, and after breakfast, Ford said that he wanted me to go for a walk. So naturally, I started to put my shoes on. I thought he meant together, but he said that he wanted to go alone. He was working on my maybe for a film, mapping it out in his mind, as it were. And I was a little hurt, to be honest, but I understand that the creative process is a very delicate dance. And Ford is a genius. I'd seen all of his films before we'd ever even met, and I'd always found him searing and penetrating in a powerful way. So I didn't want to get in the way of his creative process. It's very important that the artist be nurtured. So he went out and I took a shower. This was about noon. After that, I sat down to do some writing. I'm a poet vocationally. That's what I do. And I was working on this new poem, Untitled 104. It's about wind. Wind is a metaphor for God as a force in our lives, or lack thereof. The stillness, the arbitrariness of a random world. And the work was going very well. I was really just vomiting out images like spoiled sushi. That maybe you don't consider a metaphor, but you get my gist. I was absorbed and productive. I'd written 3 lines, I think, when I looked at the clock, and it was 10:30. This happens sometimes when I'm writing. It's as if I fall into a hole in the time-space continuum. I've strayed. So anyway, it's 10:30 and I still haven't heard from Ford, but I don't worry because I was unfamiliar with his process and it seemed very likely to me that he'd been out walking for 10.5 hours. So I tried to go to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I tossed and I turned and I had visions in my head of Ford in a hospital or dead in a ditch somewhere, the victim of wandering thugs. And then I thought, nothing's happened. He hates me. He's gone. We rushed into this, and now he's left me, and he's gone. I did something wrong. I was too aggressive. I was too passive. I was too passive aggressive. I fell into a shame spiral, and I just prayed to God, and I hoped that this nightmare would end, and I'd wake up, and Ford would be there lying next to me. And then the phone rang. Oh my God, thank God. I looked at the phone clock and it was 6:30. It was Ford. I was so relieved. I tried to keep the panic out of my voice. I didn't want to seem for a second the overbearing wife. He said he was fine. He said, I'm fine. Oh, I just need some time. I'm working on a film and I need some time. And then he hung up. He hung up! And I haven't heard from him since. B? B, are you still there? Hello?
You're a poet? That's what you do for a living. You're a poet.
Yes.
What kind of a living is that? Is there money in that?
Money is not the issue. Money is not the issue. I have money.
I never heard of such a thing.
You've never heard of poetry?
I've heard of poetry. I'm not stupid. I never heard of anyone doing it for a living.
Well, I didn't inherit some money when I was younger.
Knew it.
Hey, I have published many poems. I have a poem in this week's New Yorker.
What's it called?
Why do you ask?
I'll pick it up. I'll take a look.
Untitled 94.
I'll take a look.
Don't bother.
I'm very impressed. Tell me, how long did you know Ford? Oh my God, I just adore that name. How long did you know him before you got married?
Why do you ask?
How long?
What difference does it make?
Who is the professional here?
Are you a psychologist?
No, I am not.
And what kind of professional are you?
I ran a needlepoint store for several years.
And that qualifies you to do
We
this.
go through a very long, grueling 6-hour training process before we are allowed to man the phones.
I see.
Not just anyone can walk in off the street.
I really wonder how a 6-hour training process qualifies you to do this
My
job.
life qualifies me.
Oh, and how's that?
I am a survivor.
By that you mean you're old.
Oh, I'm hanging up.
I'm sorry.
My life has not been easy. Judge me not, lest you be judged, young lady, is what I think I mean. I've been in your place. I've known the misery of abandonment. Why, when my husband died, I never felt so all alone.
You have any children?
One, yes, but don't get me started. My husband's death just pulled the rug out from under me. Didn't want to do a thing. Didn't want to dress or wash or go to the movies. Nothing. I just cried. I curled myself into the fetal position and I cried. One day, honest to God, I found myself in yesterday's nightgown on the kitchen floor, curled up like a snail, unable to move. That's the bottom. That, my dear, is the end. When you're snailed up on the kitchen floor. I just wanted to die. And I didn't even care for my late husband.
Pardon me?
But I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and I started over. I made a life for myself. So, you want to know my qualifications? I have come back from the grave. That's my qualification.
I see.
So, how long did you know him before?
A month.
A month?
2 weeks?
You marry someone you know 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Does that seem foolhardy to you? That seems foolhardy to me.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20, isn't
Oh,
it?
don't be fresh. I'm just saying that isn't very long.
A week, okay? I knew him a week!
How'd you meet?
We met at an installation.
The hell is that? I don't know what that is.
An exhibit? We met at an art show by my friend Tipper Boucher.
This is a name?
Yes. I've been dating the performance artist Cowell Selleck. Maybe you've...
No.
Well, anyway, that was over.
How'd it end?
He killed himself.
Was that last Tuesday or Wednesday or something?
Months ago.
Then it wasn't my fault.
He did it on stage, self-immolated. It was part of his performance.
My,
It was very well reviewed.
I prefer a musical.
I assume.
Did you see Blood Brothers?
No! In any event, I went to the exhibit with my friend Binky and I met Ford.
And?
And I was very attracted to him. He's very attractive. He has beautiful hair and eyes and hands. Simply wonderful.
Yeah, he has hands. What happened?
Well, eventually we came back here.
Your place?
Yes.
Well, what was wrong with his place?
He was staying with some friends. So we came back here and, we both had a couple drinks. I wouldn't say we were drunk, but we both had a couple of drinks. And he asked me to read him some poems.
Very, very smooth.
Oh, and so I read him some poems. I read him Untitled 24 and Untitled 87, and one I hadn't even titled yet. And he listened. And then we stared at the window, and from my apartment you can see into the building across the street, and it seemed like everybody was home. There were lights on in all of the windows, and in each apartment, I know this sounds far-fetched, but in each apartment, there was someone watching television. Every window was a painting of isolation, the television light reflecting blue onto a solitary face. And somehow the power of this sight just made me so emotional. I wrote a poem about it later, Untitled 106. Oh, and I was overwhelmed with a mammoth despair, and I started to cry. And Ford said nothing. He got it. He didn't have to say anything. I didn't even have to explain it. He knew. Oh, he comforted me without words. He touched his lips to my tears, and he touched his lips to my tears, and he brushed his hands so gently on my cheek and jaw and neck. He smelled of white wine in his own body. Oh, and he put his lips on my ears, and I closed my eyes as he unbuttoned my blouse. He put his mouth on my nipples, and I was no longer crying or thinking. And he shed his shirt so I could feel his skin against mine as I stepped out of my skirt. Our clothes blew crazy down the block. Oh, and he held me with one arm as he slid the other up between my legs where I was wet and wanted him to be. And he smiled like a bad child as we simply had each other again and again until it was morning. Of course, later I realized that if I could see them, naturally my neighbors could see me, and then now I feel inclined to wear dark glasses every time I go take out the garbage.
Yeah. That was very, well, there were no words.
It was wonderful.
So, you had an orgasm.
Yes.
I never much cared for it.
I am so sorry.
My husband was not a very attractive person.
Oh, I'm sure he had other fine qualities.
And that's where you'd be wrong.
Oh.
He had hair coming out of places you cannot imagine.
And yet you were devastated when he died.
Well, as for company, it was better than a book.
Well, now you have children?
One child. But don't get me going, I'm a skite.
Oh, what?
A sad thing, a ugly thing, pathetic.
That's too bad.
So, the two of you met and fucked on the first date. What happened next?
Well, the next morning we did actually talk, and it turns out we have a great number of things in common.
such as list, please.
Well, we're both intense Fassbender fans.
Uh-huh.
And we both had rather unpleasant childhoods.
How so? Elucidate.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't see how it's relevant.
Fine.
So anyway, we're in bed for several days.
Does no one in your social circle have a job?
We have jobs. We write. We make art. We're artists. That's what we do. People in this world think that if you don't make something like a shoe or a desk or something tangible, that you're not worth anything. I mean, we make something for the soul, something for the spirit. Is that not tangible enough for you? Oh, people like you are exactly what's wrong with society today.
The question.
Question heavy with Sisyphus and judgment.
Excuse me?
Where was I?
In bed.
And I suggest we spend the rest of our lives together.
And he said?
He smiled. He agreed. We were married by my friend Caitlin's brother. Oh, it was lovely. We wrote our own vows. I, of course, wrote a poem. And the four read from Tess of the Dubervilles. I don't really know why. And then we were off to Martha's Vineyard, and now he's gone, and he's left me, and I'm here by myself.
What have you been doing?
Waiting, and waiting. Just as all women have waited since Miss Havisham's dress got covered in cobwebs.
Have you seen anyone?
Professionally? Is that what you mean?
I mean socially. A friend. Friends are very important. When my late husband killed, I would have dropped dead if it wasn't for my friend Thelma, a lovely human being who picked me right up with a ladle.
Well, I had plans. I was supposed to go see. I was on my way to see my friend Nicky, but I never made it.
What happened?
Well, I left my apartment. This was around noon, and it was a really nice day out today, so I thought that I would walk to her place. She lives on 75th and Columbus, which I realize is a really long walk, but I thought that the exercise would do me some good. I hadn't eaten anything yet, though, so I stopped at the diner on my corner for some breakfast, and I picked up a newspaper so that I'd have something to do. So I'm sitting there in my booth reading my paper, and the waiter comes up to me and says, "Are you alone?" Well, obviously I was alone. I was sitting there in the booth by myself. Did he think that I thought that I had some sort of imaginary friend with me? I was alone. I mean, did he have to rub it in? Was he trying to be funny? Did he think that in some way he was better than me? It was in his tone. He said, "Are you alone?" But what he really meant to say was, "You're alone, aren't you?" Oh, as if he's not alone every single day of his miserable, pathetic life. He had terrible skin. And not the way that bad skin, or at least some women's bad skin, looks good on some people, on some men. It never looks good on women. Have you realized that? Just another one of the injustices we are forced to suffer. God, I hate being a woman. I'm straight. My point is that the waiter had terrible skin and greasy hair, and his breath smelled like something had died, and he was insulting me with his tone and asking me if I was alone, his terrible breath. Oh, and I felt my face go flush, and I just wanted to rip his head off. I would like to have pulled his hair out, only I don't think I could have gotten a good grip. It doesn't look like it's been washed in a decade. Oh, I just wanted to take my butter knife and stab his sunken face, but I didn't. I breathed, and I simply said, "No. I'm married, thank you." I realize now that that was irrational. I realize that it doesn't make any sense, but at the time, it was all I could think to say. Well, he just leaned in and leered at me, and really in the most supercilious tone said, "I meant, are you eating alone?" I knew what he meant. I knew what he meant. I don't know why I said what I said, but I said it. I knew what he meant. I shouted. I knew what he meant. And I'm not a person who shouts. Generally, I hate shouting. It hurts to shout, and it hurts to be shouted at. My mother shouted quite a bit, and I always thought that the veins in her neck looked like the roots of a tree. But I shouted, and everybody was staring at me. The place was crowded, so much more crowded than I ever remember it being. But I was standing, and everyone was staring at me. And then, I don't know why I stood up. I must have leapt up when I shouted. I mean, I didn't mean to stand. I don't remember actually standing up. But everybody was staring at me, and they just stared at me for what seemed like hours, weeks. And then it dawned on me that these people, my neighbors, were the very same people who watched Ford and myself have sex the first night we met. And I've never been more humiliated in my life. I was going to be sick. I was sure I was going to be sick right there in that booth. And then as I walked by it, I was like, oh, there goes that woman. We've seen her have sex and we've seen her vomit. I would like to, at some point in my life, with whatever energy I have, cling to dignity. What are women without our dignity? Women are worthless in this world. I mean, every aspect of our society is designed to keep us under their plastic thumb of the beauty myth. I mean, if you're attractive, congratulations, you rule the world, but God forbid that you have bad skin or gain a pound or lose a leg or do anything to deviate from what the power brokers, plutocrats, and politicians, the television sets, the magazines, the oil companies, which own all of our other stuff to begin with. God forbid that you deviate from what the president of Shell Oil deems attractive. You're a worthless human being! You are a dead bird on the sidewalk! Not that I'm unattractive, mind you. I'm very attractive. I know I am. I just wasn't feeling very attractive while I was standing there being stared at by my nasty, judgmental, swine-like neighbors who'd gotten their rocks off watching me have sex! So I just stood there, and I gathered up with all the strength, dignity that I could muster, which was considerable, and I said, I've changed my mind. And I left. I was on the way to 43rd Street before I realized I forgot my purse. There was all the way that we're kept under the blessed thumb of the patriarchy. Purses! Do men have purses? No, they have pockets. Why can't women have pockets? I'll tell you why. Because they might make our hips bulge. They might make our buttocks look lumpy, and we can't have that. No. So women have to carry purses. And you can either carry like a dainty little thing like this that holds absolutely nothing and helps the world with literally one hand behind your back, beats you up. Or you can have one of those big, heavy, oppressive handbags that just leave big red welts on your skin. And then I'm sure they knock your spine out of alignment, which makes you feel that you're going to have osteoporosis. So you spend all your time worrying about that. Then you spend the rest of your money worrying about calcium supplements, which you know are going to do no good anyway, because you just know that you're going to end up with a hump. And all of your dresses are going to be longer in the front. I mean, you could just wear a knapsack, but then everybody thinks you're a lesbian. I would like to get my hands on the filthy, misogynistic motherfucker. I would like to kill the motherfucker who invented the handbag. I strayed. So anyway, I was on the way to Times Square before I realized that I'd forgotten my handbag, and I was feeling dizzy and sick and hungry, and oh my God, I had 16 cents in my pocket, and I didn't think that I'd be able to make it all the way back to that diner without fainting. So I ordered a hot dog stand. I'm not someone who eats hot dogs generally because of the nitrates, but at this point, they weren't hot dogs. They were IVs. They were bread and water, and they cost $1.25. So I tried looking all sad and pathetic, like the poster for Les Miserables. I let a single tear come to my eye, and the hot dog vendor ignored me completely. So I tried seducing him subtly. I wet my lips gently, and I held my arms in a position that I thought made my breasts look prominent. And he smiled at me, and I could see that what he had in his head were the khaki color of brown leaves. Now, I was dizzy and sick and swooning, but I was not about to sell myself to this faded extortionist for $1.25 with a pig snout and feet. I was sure there were other vendors, kinder souls who would take pity on me. So I headed south, back to my corner, back to that diner, back to that hateful waiter. Oh, I fucking hope he dies. And my purse. All the while I was looking on the ground for spare change, a dime, a nickel, a Subway token I could barter. And then I realized my hand was out. I wasn't begging, per se, but somebody wanted to give me their champagne to help them purge themselves of their guilt, well, who was I to tell them no? Ford did this to me. I hate everything. But I did my best, groveling, begging, looking wan. But the competition was fierce. I'm surrounded on all sides by people so disfigured by their misfortune, I thought I'd stumbled onto the set of a Fellini film. I mean, the lady on my right had no shoes, and I felt really badly for her until I realized that the guy on my left had no feet, and he was chasing me on a skateboard, yelling at me obscenities in a language that I did not understand. I mean, I gather I'd been working his turf, but I ran, and I ran. I no longer wanted to eat. I no longer wanted to see Dinky. I just wanted my purse and my keys and my bed and a bath. So I ran, and I ran. Every block I survived was a victory. And then I made it on my corner. I could see it across the street. But I was on the corner, surrounded by children, yelling, screaming, snotty children, all under the care of one worker from the Chelsea Day School. And the sun was so hot. Felt like I was standing under a magnifying glass, just focused right on me. And the soot from the cars and the buses, and everything was just making me feel sicker and sicker. And we're all standing there on the corner, waiting for the light to change, and it would not change. The fucking light would not fucking change. I mean, we stood there for hours, for weeks, and the fucking light would not fucking change. And I did. That light was green. I know it was green. So I stumbled, I staggered out into the street, and then all of a sudden, from nowhere, this car is coming straight at me. It was coming directly at me. It was going to kill me. I was going to die. And then it swerved. It swerved onto the sidewalk into that pile of children. They were all screaming, and I ran, and I didn't look back. I know that light was green, so I didn't look back. And I ran all the way up the stairs to my building and home.
What do you think happened?
I don't know.
You think someone was hit?
I said, I don't know. I don't want to know.
Was it on the news?
I don't know. This is not helping. You're not helping me. This is not why I called you. I called you because my husband is gone, and I'm alone, and I'm hungry, and I don't know what happened.
Maybe nothing happened.
That light was green. I know it was green.
What are you wearing?
What?
Answer the question.
A t-shirt.
Change your clothes.
No.
Change your clothes.
I don't want to.
You have a shorty nightgown?
Yes.
Put it on.
My life is a mess, and you want me to put on a fucking shorty nightgown?
Do what I am telling you to do.
No!
Put it on.
No!
Everything looks 100% better from inside a shorty nightgown.
Well, that is very wise.
Listen to me. He'll be back.
I don't care. I don't want him back. I don't want him.
You fancy yourself some modern woman, but you know things don't change. Some things are forever. The food chain is as it always was. Men rule the world. The penises rule men. And who rules the penises? We do, darling. People panic, people do things, but he'll be back. And when he comes back, not one word out of you, you hear me? Don't ask him where he's been. Act like nothing happened.
You're insane.
I will not tolerate rudeness. Let me tell you. When I married my late husband, I was pregnant. Not with his kid, but I was pregnant. I was very good looking when I was younger. But the father wasn't Jewish, so I decided, or rather my mother decided, it wouldn't go. So I married what's his name? My dead husband. I'll never forget waking up in Atlantic City the day after. I'm wide awake, staring at this fat lump of hairy nothing. And let me tell you, I would have run if I could have, but I was going to have a child. So instead, I just pulled the hair on his back as hard as I could. You see my point?
Shut up.
I will not tolerate being talked to like
Someone's
that.
at the door. Howard, where you been?
I told you not to ask him that. That's the one thing that I told you not to.